chicken shit monetary policy, and the recession that we are in. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, the 11th of August. And what's going on, everybody? Hope you had a great week. It certainly was a wild week in the markets and up and down like a yo-yo. But certainly we are in a recession. You can deny, you can hide from it, you can do whatever you want. But again, we'll never get the Fed to admit that there's a recession. But if you look at a basic principle known as the SOM rule, talking about unemployment raising 3 consecutive months of 0.5%, you will find out that that also classifies as a recession. And of course, my words to you are always look within your own life and tell me if you're in a recession or not. If you're not, hey, good for you. But most Americans, especially those in the upper middle class and below, are suffering. We are losing jobs at a record pace. We are having layoffs. And of course, the prospect of new jobs based on where we are headed, which is to a service country versus a production country, is not good. Okay. But at least we have Harris and Walz that are going to make America burn again. And if you think Walz is a good candidate, well, I guess let's just look at Minnesota. At least they've got tampons in boys' bathrooms, which was a big policy for Mr. Walz. And again, I don't care. I'm not going to get into his military record, what they're talking about, because I don't have enough information. But again, if you looked what happened in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, during the George Floyd action and the burning of that state, well, I would think that might tell you something. And of course, our vice president, who's the now presidential nominee, has not spoken to the media for more than 2 minutes in 20 days. Okay. But she did appoint someone who helped burn down Minnesota, is thrilled bringing in numbers of illegals, and is thrilled having you, the taxpayer, pay for those illegals. So let's continue to bring in the illegals as we continue to get to pay more of our hard-earned money to taxes through one form or another. Okay, because remember, the government makes no money, they make debt, and the debt gets satisfied by the taxpayer. So let's just keep importing illegals that we get to pay for. Let's keep having special plans instead of shutting the border the way it should be, because certainly China is taking advantage of the border and bringing in all kinds of illegals. And you think they're on your side, or are they spies? Who knows what they're? Okay, but we do know that Biden and Harris released 99 illegals that are suspect of terrorism. Okay, but let's not worry about that. Okay, because we don't have any problem with terrorism here. Okay, let's just continue to let them flow and run free about the country, letting the American taxpayer pay for them. Okay, as they get ready and plot to destroy this country. Okay, and of course, the monetary policy is so ridiculous. And now, if you remember, we talked about this at length and ad nauseum here of the rate cuts that the market rally was built on. And of course, now, any rate cut that would come now, after we have been determined to be in a recession by some of the metrics, would now be considered a bearish sentiment. It would no longer be bullish, it would be considered bearish. And you want to take care of the recession, cut taxes. Okay, that's what you want, not interest rates. Interest rates are very fairly priced. Just because many people have never experienced rates here, I mean, many of us had our first mortgages that were 10, 12, 13, 14%. So again, the problem with the interest rate, the problem with the government, okay, is that they spend too much of our money. Okay, it doesn't matter which administration you look at. You can go back forever, because each one has kicked the can down the road to knowing that they've got the American taxpayer to finance and take care of their business. And I think that it is ridiculous. And I think it is ridiculous and moronic that we're continuing to support the Ukrainian war. Okay. Now, again, this is something that should have never happened. And of course, but when you have a president, okay, and I know now he's a vegetable. But when you have a president, okay, that wants to give away everything to everybody except for America, this is the mess you create. Okay, you're allowing the everybody that is our enemy to gain more power and more strength as we weaken ourselves. And you can look from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, okay, that it has about a 16-day supply, that which is supposed to be wartime oil, not oil that is meant to be there to bring prices down, which really have not brought prices down. I mean, we're still up between 60 and 100% of where we were 4 years ago. Okay, so again, if you think you're in better shape than you were 4 years ago, God bless. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I just tell you that I'm just giving you some basic on facts here. Okay, and healthcare for retirees continues to soar. Okay, fortunately, I'm going to retire, but I can afford it. But I mean, at the end of the day, what does a retiree that can't afford it do? Okay, and our Social Security system is failing. The Ponzi scheme created by the government, okay, continues to make things worse. The ridiculous not raising the age of Social Security to 80, which is about where it should be, because Social Security is all it is you pay in all your money, the government spends it, okay, and then they hope that they can repay it so that you can get your Social Security. And I would say right now, I have no idea to be factual, but it'd be my guess that Social Security's got 10 years left to run, barring some major miracle, okay, and all that money disappears. It is no different than pension funds blowing up and people who have worked their whole life for their pension fund and no longer have it when they come it. And of course, California, power bills continue to surge. Well, at least Gavin Newsom is out picking up garbage from homeless, getting ready for another election season, because certainly, why did it take until right before the presidential election for them to get out there and clean up the homeless crap? Again, California is a state that should have been the best. Instead, politically, it is the worst. And taxally, it is the worst. It is just, it is most people that I know that live in California, if they've been there for a long time, they're okay with it because they still have Prop 13 and other ways to not get ripped off. But anybody new hates it. And of course, that's why you're seeing a mass exodus out of the state of California, because the money. The taxes are just a ridiculous joke. And of course, again, we've got the new candidate for vice president, Mr. Walz. And, again, a lot of things that he has done is not very good. But again, I just look back to what happened with in Minneapolis. Okay, that just what happened in the state. Okay, because to me, when you look at what happened during the George Floyd encounter, okay, lots of violence, lots of burning down the city. I think that there's no law and order, and of course, they're all part of the defund the police. Your vice president, the border czar, has done nothing for the border. And now she says she's going to get tough on the border. Well, where's she been the last 3.5 years? Just a question. Okay. Where has she been the last 3.5 years? I get, if she is supposed to be the border czar, where's she been? Okay. So now she's getting tough. So again, we all know that elections are bullshit. Whichever side you're on, it doesn't really matter. We're all going to make up statements that are not true, which is one of them being they're going to fix the infrastructure, which in my lifetime, every president has promised it and not one has done it. So again, it doesn't matter what side the aisle it is, but certainly if you fall for the bullshit that she's going to fix the border, I urge you to go back and look at her track record of letting out people commuting sentences and letting out violent criminals. Okay, this is not me giving you a guess or an opinion. This is a fact. Okay, very similar to the facts that she called out on Joe Biden when during their debate in 2020, which that he was a racist. And of course, it is proven that he is a racist. It is not me. Every bill he ever voted for was racism. But at the end of the day, don't buy in to the bullshit. Just ask yourself, are you better today than you were 4 years ago? If you're not, then maybe it's time to look and taking a change. Because certainly, in my opinion, and we'll get more of this in our commentary, this country is headed backwards. And you may want to say it is the greatest country in the world, and maybe it still is, but certainly going backwards never helped anybody. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, top Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, August the 11th. Let us step out here for our break, and we'll be back with our market commentary after the break. Well, kids, of course, as you know, I've got a couple of sponsors, and of course, they're brokerage partners. Now, again, I have many different brokers, but I do have a couple that I really prefer, and I share with you, which is Capital Trading Group, and they're partners with us in a lot of our programs. They do our letter of direction trading. They got great customer service, willing to work with you, and just check them out. You'll see their website scrolling on the side, and of course, TRADIER Brokerage, which is $10 a month, unbelievable service, and saves me about $100,000 a year in brokerage fees. Certainly check them out, TRADIER Brokerage, and they're also on the sidelines here. And of course, our high school program, which, God, I wish I could have gotten to this 100 years ago or 50 years ago, because they have destroyed any financial literacy in this country. Our education system sucks. But anyways, check it out on the scrolling on the bottom. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz, and our market update. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Daily Update. No, it's actually not the Daily Update. It's Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, August the 11th. And of course, markets had a wild week, closing slightly lower on the week, but opened up Monday down 1,000. The NASDAQ, in the first time in history, it was down over 1,000. Now, that isn't really as big a deal. It was 5.5%. Okay. That's what you should always remember in markets, in numbers. Don't get fooled by the big number. Think about it in the percentage terms, because if any one of your stocks was down 4 or 5%, you wouldn't panic versus what they make in the media. Okay, but in the meantime, for the markets, the Nasdaq certainly seems to be in a little bit of trouble right now, even with the recent end of the week rally. But those are dead cat bounces. Those are short squeezes. Those are many different things that we see in markets, and I think that. The markets are headed now lower. I don't think they're going to be dramatic. You are in the middle of an election cycle. And typically the last dramatic selling came in, of course, 2008. But we'll see. Again, look, I don't make massive predictions, except you know that I do believe that there still will be, at some point, a 50 to 60% haircut. But at the end of the day, for now, I think we're in a downtrend, and I think you look to sell the markets. I think you look to sell rallies. But we are short. And again, remember, these are positions that may change Monday morning. But for now, the direction or the trend is short all four major indices. Okay. It is, if you trade, now we don't trade anymore, but long the dollar, short the euro currency, short the bonds, long the notes, long Bitcoin, which had a nice little pop after getting smushed. Now remember, a lot of that selling on Monday was due to margin calls. Okay. Margin calls create selling everywhere, and then they recoup and figure out where they're going to go. And of course, gold and silver, we are long gold and short silver. Okay, which I don't really particularly care for, but that's the position that we have right now. Platinum continues to get popped again. Certainly, it would be in a downtrend, but certainly I would be looking. I'll be looking to buy some if it gets down to a 900 again. Copper is still in a downtrend. We are still short. In the grain markets, we would be short all of the grains. And again, there doesn't seem to be any hope that there's going to be a rally. Now, I'm sure there'll be a rally at some point. But I think one big point you have to recognize is the cost at retail versus the cost at wholesale. The farmers are getting destroyed at wholesale, okay, which ties into something I meant to mention during the actual opening, but China is inflation numbers are rising due to the cost of high pork prices. Okay. Now it's interesting because the futures pork prices continue to get slaughtered. Okay. Not a bad play on words. Continue to get slaughtered. So where's the high prices? China owns Smithfield Foods, which was an American company, and is the largest pork producer in the world. So there's always a little bit something funny going on. And never did I think that we'd see a time where a box of cereal was more expensive than a bushel of corn. But it is, and that's what it is. In the meantime, we would be short the grains. We don't trade the cattle anymore, but I am long. I'm short cattle. I can't understand why it's priced where it's at, and I am long hogs. And if any of these are spreaders, I would take a look at selling December and buying February hogs, but that's just a potential something to look at. Natural gas continues to head south. And I did have a little pop from about 190 back over $2, but I think it probably has one more solid dip in it. And then I start to be concerned about being shorted because, of course, we get into the time where we can start to get some cold snaps and they might need some of that natural gas. Crude oil, we're still short. Okay. So, and of course, in the softs, we don't trade those anymore at all. But cocoa, we would be short. Cotton, we would be short. Sugar, we would be short. Coffee, we would be short. And OJ, we would be short. So that's the way it is, and that's how I see it. But again, I urge you to just be careful. It looked like there was going to be some action. And one warning I will give you here is if you're an options trader, don't ever chase up. Don't ever buy puts when you see a volatility of over 40% or 50%. You will not make money. You will lose money more often than not. That is too big of a move. So just a thought. And of course, we do have classes and stuff where we teach all this stuff. But in the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, August 11th. Let me step out here for a break, and we'll be back with our with our commentary right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. So kids, again, I'm not going to go through the whole speech, but you know I have brokerage partners. You know I have other brokers. Just to give you full disclosure, TRADIER Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, scrolling on the sides, high school program, scrolling on the bottom. Let's get back to our market commentary and myself, Todd Bubba Horowitz. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 11th of August, and of course, football's back, and of course, the election is coming, and it's just something that I urge you to think about. I mean, again, we get far too off base during election seasons, and of course, we get lied to, and we get lied to, everybody. I mean, I'm defending nobody here, okay? As you know, I am a libertarian, and I'm more interested in this country, and I love this country, but I don't think it is the greatest country anymore. I think we've gone backwards. I think that is not something that I'm proud of watching us go backwards for the competition to catch us. I'm not happy that we are involved so heavily with so many of our enemies. I don't like what's going on anywhere in this country. I don't like what's going anywhere in this administration. And I got news for you. The new VP candidate on the left did not do a very good job in Minneapolis as far as I'm concerned. I didn't think that they'd handle it well, even before this was even a thought. But, you know, Kamala, whatever the hell her name is, the borders are, now she's going to get tough on the border. I think it's something to think about. And I think, again, when it comes to recessions, when it comes to the economy, the first thing you have to look at is not what the news is telling you, not what you're reading, your own personal life, okay? If you're struggling right now, that's a problem, okay? It may not be a problem for me, but it's a problem for you. And those are the things that you need to look at. Is it a problem for you, okay? What the government tells us, what the reports tell us, don't have any effect on you one way or the other. Either you're in good shape and you're moving forward and you're saving money and you're putting money away and you're paying your bills, you're not at high credit card debt, or you're in bad shape, okay? That's the decision you have to make. Are you working? Are you working more than one job? Because we're certainly in a recession, and that is based on what they call the SAM rule, SAHM rule, where employment is dropped. The employment rate has risen over 0.5% in 3 consecutive months. But again, you tell me. I'm not going to tell you what you are. If you're in good shape, do whatever you wish. If you're not in good shape, maybe it's time for a change. That's all you got to think about, and that'll do it for today's Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. Have a great weekend, everybody. As always, I appreciate you. Football's back, so will our handicapping be, and we'll see you back here tomorrow with a Bubba's Daily Update. But in the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. Adios.